Good morning and welcome to Today in LA. I'm Forrest Lee, and on the phone we have Michael Amos Jr. calling in from Grayton Beach. Good morning, Michael.
Morning. I'm excited. Big day for Troy Athletics. Big day for any Troy fan out there. Troy has a chance to win 12 games and finish ranked, possibly in the top 20
Right.
in college football. I mean,
That's
I don't know if many people ever thought when we went to Division One we could be saying things like this today, but it's a great chance for it to happen.
right. Well, have you talked to your dad or your sister? Is it Rebecca that took your
Yeah,
dad?
I talked to Rebecca a little bit yesterday. Oh wow, I'm way up high on it. Maybe they can get my screen down a little bit. But yeah, they apparently never stopped yesterday. They pulled in, and there was graduation going on, pep rallies going on. Apparently, they had a big night, or a big day and night.
How about the great news for Carlton Marshall? He's been invited to the Senior Bowl in Mobile.
Yeah, we talked about that, didn't we?
Yeah, and it finally happened. See if I've got some reports on that.
Yeah, now that's something that not many college players get the opportunity to do. You're talking about playing on an actual team, coached by an NFL coach with NFL assistants. You're talking about tons of scouts.
Yep.
So I mean, regardless if Marshall gets drafted, which a lot of people probably think he will not be drafted, a lot of people think he'll be a free agent. He still is going to be in front of a lot of NFL people, which will be great for him.
Yeah, and that's his hometown. He played at McGill-Toolen High School there in Mobile, and he's 5'9", 210 pounds. He's all-time leading tackler. He was the Sun Belt Conference Defensive Player of the Year, had 121 tackles. He's had a total of 563 career stops, and he's going to add to that number today. Some other players, that's going to be on February the 4th, the Senior Bowl.
Oh, okay.
In Mobile's,
a little bit later than usual.
In Mobile's Hancock Whitney Stadium. Here are some other players. 7 from Alabama, tight end Cameron Latou, offensive lineman Emil Ekafor, also Tyler Steen, defensive lineman D.J. Dale from Alabama, Byron Young from Alabama, safety DeMarco Helms, and kicker Real Reichard. From Auburn, you have edge rushers Derek Hall and Itu Leota, and linebacker Owen Papu. Is that correct? Papau?
Popo.
Popo.
His last name is, yeah.
And there's 2 from South Alabama, wide receiver Jalen Wayne and cornerback Darrell Luther. And there's a bunch of players that's, I don't have the whole roster in front of me. It's the Reese's Cup, Reese's Senior Bowl. It will kick off at 1:30 p.m. February the 4th in Mobile. The National Football Network will televise it.
Jake Andrews, Troy Center, was going to be able to play in that game. He's had a really good year, but I don't know. Maybe there's an outside chance another guy from Troy will get picked up. There's injuries and there's guys that bail out at the last minute.
Hey, Mike, I was going to mention this to you. Miss Mary Rhodes Finley passed away. She and her husband, Mr. Tom, owned the Country Kitchen.
Country Kitchen? Oh, wow. Yeah, I know Miss Mary very well. I hate to hear that.
She was 91 years old. She survived by a son, Tom Jr., and a daughter, Virginia Pettis. The funeral will take place this Sunday. The family will receive friends and family from 2 to 3 p.m. on December the 18th. And then the services will be held at the Green Hills Chapel Mausoleum at 3 p.m. And she'll be laid to rest by her husband, Mr. Tom, at the mausoleum. But when I worked full-time with the National Guard in Troy, I would meet my mother, Bonnie, who worked for Dr. Jim Colley. We would meet for supper at the Country Kitchen.
Oh, yeah. My granddad went out there every day.
And of course,
that's how I got to know Pat and Geraldine, who own sisters.
and
They're waitresses.
right. And in college, we did the same thing, but that's, and the lady who started Julia, she started her career waitressing there for Miss Mary and Mr. Tom, and he had fabulous steaks. And I can remember chitlin night during the winter months on Thursdays. They would have chitlins, and we would play rook a lot of times with the Freeman family from Troy Cable and Malcolm Griffin and his wife. We would play rook, and we'd sit in that little bottom, that they had.
Yeah, that's where my granddad hung out. He hung out down there. That was kind of where seems like the VIPs.
And then later on,
I actually knew Miss Mary for Cheers more than anything. I used to hang out with her out there at Cheers back in college. My cousin Chris Amos worked for many a year.
Christopher Joel.
Cheers.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a happening place. Cheers. And I don't know how old Miss Mary was when she was out there, but I tell you what, she was out there till 4 and 5 in the morning sometimes.
But now that you mentioned Chris, there was a guy that we went to Saudi Arabia with from Brundage, Donnie Mobley's son, Greg. I just saw a post where his daughter, they live in Huntsville, and she's already campaigning and marketing the Girl Scout cookies. That time of year is coming up, so save your money for the Girl Scout cookies.
I told my wife, I was like, since Disney and Thanksgiving, I'd lost a lot of weight and was feeling probably the best I've felt in years. And tell you what, you can put it on going to Disney World and coming off Thanksgiving. Now we got Christmas coming up. I've got one more Christmas party today, but I think I've had 5 or 6 Christmas parties in the last week.
Yeah.
It's been crazy.
Well, yesterday I rode to Brantley with Gene and Amy Allen and their grandchildren, Easton and Emerson. We stopped, met their dad at the Chicken Shack, Costin. He's a pharmacist in Luverne. And yesterday in the Tony Starworth tournament, and Tony was a longtime coach there at Brantley, and he coached the Person brothers and Caldwell and others. But he now is the director of athletics for Crenshaw County. But last night, Brantley scored 77, Pike Liberal Arts 32. Jaden Park scored 24 points for Brantley, along with Keldrick Brown's 12, 11, and 11 rebounds. Jackson Mitchell had 10 points for Brantley. They're 4-1. And Jordan Parks added 9. I don't know who our scoring leaders were.
I guess Jackson Mitchell is Johnny Mitchell's son.
He is. He's pretty smooth. And he's an outside guy. And he missed a few shots, but I bet you when he's on, he's on. And some other basketball news. Charles Henderson, 96. Pike Road, 73.
Wow, that's a big score there.
Jaden Spearman and Austin Cross combined for 66 points.
Wow.
Charles Henderson had 16 three-pointers. They played Pike County Saturday night in Troy, I believe. Spearman had 38 points, 10 three-pointers. Jaden Spearman, and I don't know what grade he's in, but Cross.
He came on the show that day.
He did, and Austin Cross scored 28 points, and he had 6 three-pointers. Jawan Boyd, 14 points, and Charles Henderson had 17 trays overall. Mario Davenport added 1. They're 6-4. Also,
yeah, let's just be honest. That record could be a lot better if they didn't have all those guys playing, until the state championship game.
Right. Well, I tell you, Carroll of Ozark, they have a sensational team. They're ranked number 5. They defeated Geneva 59-56. They're 12-1 now. Ayrton beat Opp. Slocum beat New Brockton. GW Long beat Daleville. Abbeville 81, Zion Chapel 47. Barber County defeated Goshen 59-45. Goshen's Jadarius Burney had 13 points, and Shemedrick Andrews had 11. In girls action,
Goshen's got a kid last name Burney. Wasn't that the great player that played at Pike County's last name?
Yeah, there were some at Charles Henderson too. Burney's. Mm-hmm.
10 3-pointers for us, getting back to that, that's got to be a school record. I've never heard of a kid from Charles Henderson making 10 3-pointers in a game.
Now, I've seen a kid in Dozier years ago, a Daniels kid. I think I saw him hit 13 or 16, and that was a state record at one time. You know, you could go to the Alabama High School Athletic Association and see the records for basketball stats,
You know,
I believe.
I don't know how many points Carl averaged a game at Pine Level Arts last year when they won the state championship, but I feel like he's scoring more points than Charles Henderson, which is unbelievable to go from a private school to a 5A school and scoring this many points.
Right. Well, he's just polished now. He's got a couple of kid brothers that are pretty good too. And girls basketball, let's see, Geneva beat Carroll, Charles Henderson 50, Pike Road 39. KK Hobdy of Charles Henderson scored 16 points, and Madison Owsley had 12. Barber County 55, Goshen 36. For Goshen, Alyssa Sparks had 13, and AJ Rogers had 12. And that's some of your highlights of high school basketball. And there are a lot more games scheduled this weekend. I was just going to mention this tonight in Brantley. Pike Liberal Arts will play Luverne. Highland Home will play Calhoun, and there's some Florida State coaches that will be there that were there last night, and I think the head coach is going to be there today, is what I was told. Brantley will play Central Hayneville. Greenville will play St. James.
So Mike Norvell, the Florida State head coach, will be there, huh?
Yes. All right, Saturday
I'll tell
night.
you what, I'm going to predict this for us. If Jordan Travis comes back like they say he's going to come back to Florida State, I think they're going to win the ACC next year. So the Falk kid is going to be going to Florida State at the right time.
And he may be playing in the Final Four. And, you know, in the playoffs. All right, and like I said, tomorrow night, Pike County at Charles Henderson, that's at 3 o'clock. That's a 3 o'clock start. And tonight, mention this, Enterprise hosts Robert E. Lee out of Montgomery. Carroll will be at Headland. New Brockton at Northside Methodist. Pike County is at Abbeville. Ayrton is at Geneva. Zion Chapel's at Sampson. So that's some of your local basketball that's going on. And they, while we're on the subject, you want me to mention the top teams in the state that have been released by the Alabama High School Sports Writers Association. In girls, of course, Hoover's number 1 in 7A. Hazel Green in 6A is number 1. 5A, Gunnersville's number 1. Eufaula is ranked number 2. They're 9-0. Charles Henderson, even though they're 3 and 4, they're ranked. They got points because they know they played a better schedule. In 3A, Trinity's 1, St. James is 4. This is girls. In 2A, Geneva County's 7, and 1A, Elba is 8 for the boys. In 7A, Enterprise is number 8. Grissom's number 1. In 6A, Pinson Valley's number 1. And 5A, at number 5, Carroll of Ozark. Headland is 9. Also receiving votes, Brubaker Tech out of Montgomery, Charles Henderson, and Eufaula. And Ramsey is the number 1 team in 5A, just like football. In 3A, Houston Academy's number 4. And 2A, Holly Pond is number 1. Abbeville's 3. Ayrton is 7. And in 1A basketball for the boys, Covenant Christian, I don't know where they're located. They're number 1. Georgiana is 3. Red Level is 7. So that's some of your high school rankings that have just come out. I'm anxious to watch Pike Liberal Arts play because I taught a lot of those kids when I was at the elementary school. And those cross boys, that you can't be around a better bunch of kids than the crosses.
So you want to watch Charles Henderson play, not Pike Liberal Arts?
Is that what I want to watch both of them. Yeah, excuse me. But I'm anxious to see Charles Henderson play simply because of how Tim Faison goes about his approach to the game, and they're loaded with talent. I hope they can go a long way, all the way.
They had the size they had last year. They lost that Knox kid. ended up going to Chipola. He was like 6'7", but I think his wingspan was like 7 foot. So you don't have too many guys like that come around. But sounds like Cross has come in, is not missing a beat. And the Spearman kid's phenomenal. I know Juwan Boyd's a good player too. Davenport was a starter at Pilo Arts last year too on that state championship team. He's about 6'4", isn't he?
He's a good 6'4", but you got those Zion Grady.
Yeah,
He
I
plays.
know, yeah.
They got some beef and
I tell
Benton
you
Dunn.
what, I keep on seeing Charles Kelly. He was down there at Charles Center the other day, but I mean, from what I heard, he's the new defense coordinator of Colorado. But then I saw him down with Saban, getting another recruit down in Mobile the other day. So I don't know what's going on with that.
How about Chip Lindsey?
Yeah, that's a credit to Chip. I mean, everybody thinks he's a great offensive mind, and I would imagine that's close to $1 million job at North Carolina to be their offense coordinator. I guess he finally realized Malzahn, when he coaches for him, that Malzahn's going to want to call a play or call every play. I imagine Chip probably wants to do everything on his own, and you don't have to worry about that with Matt Brown, the head coach. You'll definitely be running the show all by yourself.
And Gene Chizik is the defensive coordinator. He's got Auburn ties, and he's getting that quarterback back. What's his name?
Drake May, which is probably his top 3 candidate to win the Heisman.
All right. It says,
yeah, Chip. Everything that happened at Troy, but after he lost the Troy job, Florida Atlantic wanted him as offensive coordinator. Central Florida wanted him as that offensive coordinator. He ended up going to Central Florida. And for North Carolina to go after him, with a lot of people, probably really want that job. You're going to be coaching probably a guy that's going to New York at quarterback. That's a credit to Chip.
Yeah, Phil Longo is leaving the Tar Heels. You may have already mentioned that.
He's going to Wisconsin.
Yeah, to join Luke Fickell. But it says they were quoted as saying they're excited to welcome Chip, his wife Cecilia. They got 4.
Sure.
Yeah,
4 kids.
Yeah, got Claire, Caroline, Cooper, and Connor. I've been around all of those kids. They're super kids, and I actually taught Cooper for a little bit. No, Connor for a little bit, but
I will say this, sports. I have been to many a campus in my life. That's kind of what I've done, being the son of Mike Amos. I went to so many different games and so many different sporting events throughout the country, and there is no more beautiful place in the country than Chapel Hill, North Carolina.
Wow.
I'm talking about the campus, the beautiful old Southern homes around the campus, the restaurants, the bars. I mean, Chapel Hill it's way, way up there.
Well, about 2 years ago, Abby's senior year, we had planned, she likes the band Laney in Los Angeles, New York, Lany. Well, we had planned to take 3 of her girlfriends, and we were going to get double rooms in Atlanta, and we were going to leave after the Charles Citizen football game. They were cheerleaders, and then we were going to stay north of Atlanta and then go on to Chapel Hill. Well, there was tragedy in Las Vegas in a concert, so it kind of it dampened the other 3 girls from going, so they didn't go. I said, well, we're going. So Jody and Abby and I went on to that concert and went on the campus, and there are some neat places in Chapel Hill to go out for nightlife, restaurants, and all that kind of stuff. And then we went and watched the band, and I went by a little bit of the campus. They were playing Notre Dame that weekend, and so that was a neat. That's a neat little area. Like I said, I didn't get to see all the campus, but been there.
Yeah, it's hard to believe that. I think Duke is 8 miles away from North Carolina's campus, and then I think NC State's only 15 miles away. That's why they call it Tobacco Road.
Well, we're talking about college football. What about Drewski Brees? Drew Brees is returning to Purdue as a coach.
To help out for the bowl. Yeah, I saw that.
You reckon he'll hire on full time or just for the bowl?
I don't know. Guys like that are so successful, like Drew Brees, Peyton Manning. I don't know if he's just going to kind of give back to his alma mater and help out for the time being, but you never know. He might get the coaching bug. Who knows?
All right.
One
They were
of those things. It's one of those things where it's not a bad thing. If DeMarcus Ware came out and said, "Hey, I'll come in and help out on the defense for a bowl game," if one of the coaches left, you can't pass him up.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, Purdue finished 8-5 this year. They won the Big Ten West title for the first time.
Don't take them to the bowl game. The quarterback opting out, the star wide receivers opting out, the star tight ends opting out, the star defensive backs opting out.
That's
what's so scary about these bowl games, man. If you go place a wager on these games today, you better know who's playing because they'll have a lot of people that you think are going to play. They're going to decide not to.
Yeah, well, they play LSU on that Monday.
Yeah.
And you just never know. LSU's got some players opting out, and I saw Clemson is playing who?
Clemson's playing.
Let me go back and look.
They're playing Tennessee.
Yeah, they've got folks opting out left and right.
Yeah, it's gonna be a weird situation. I think next week for Alabama fans. I think a lot of people are holding out hope that Anderson and Bryce Young and Brian Branch and Gibbs and all those guys are still going to play. But I think we're going to see a press conference in Tuscaloosa. Will and Max both made a good point, but they haven't started bowl practice yet.
Yeah.
And once they start bowl practice, that's when we'll have those guys say their goodbyes, I believe.
We're going to take a break in just a minute, but before we do, I want to end with this story. Mr. Irrelevant is the last player picked in the National Football League draft.
Yeah, he's playing pretty good right now.
Last year's draft in 2022 for the National Football League, Brock Purdy from Iowa State. Is that correct? Was he the quarterback at Iowa State?
Yeah. He was a great quarterback. I watched him many times.
Yeah, he's originally
said he was undersized. And he was the last pick, and now he's starting quarterback for San Francisco and can't lose.
He's 2-0, and he's Mr. Irrelevant, but it just goes to show you. And he was picked by the San Francisco 49ers. Have they lost two quarterbacks, or they just lost one?
Yeah, they've lost Jimmy Garoppolo, and then they lost the North Dakota State quarterback that everybody thinks is going to be really good one day, Trey Lance.
Have they lost them for the year?
It all comes down to, coaching. They got Shanahan, and he's a great young coach for San Francisco. And then D'Amico Ryan, defense coordinator. Of course, everybody knows him, All-American, All-SEC linebacker at Alabama. Played 12 years in the NFL. And he is the hot commodity as far as the next head coach in the NFL from Bessemer, Alabama. D'Amico Ryan's got their defense playing phenomenal, San Francisco.
That's good. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a quick break. We want to thank our sponsors, Southern Grill and Patio, located on South Brundy Street, along with Wise Office Supply there, located on South Brundy Street. And so is Raymond Ledford's Barber and Hairstyle.
I need to go see Raymond, and next time I come to Troy, give him a trim my beard, cut my hair.
And
he's the best.
And Troy Baker Trust Company, Sisters Restaurant. We want to thank Premier Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram of Troy.
I need to talk to Jason or somebody on his staff. I don't know if I told you, but we got a minivan to have more room going on our truck. We got a third row seat in one of our cars, but we decided to rent a van, and we got a Chrysler Pacifica minivan. And I tell you what, it was loaded to the hilt, and one of the best driving vehicles I ever had in my life. I mean, I don't know if my wife will drive a minivan, but I might drive a minivan because it was spectacular to have all that room, and it was like one of the best driving cars I ever had. We took to Disney World and back, and I'm sure Jason probably sells those up there.
Well, you might as well get one because your kids are going to get bigger, and next thing you know, somebody's going to be tagging along with them. But anyway,
yeah, I mean, it's either that or some other bigger SUV. But I tell you what, man, I know my wife doesn't want to be a minivan mom, but I tell you what, we might have to become one.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's Troy Cable time is 7:30. We'll be back with more of Today in LA after these messages.
Our wide selection of pre-owned vehicles looks so good, you'll think they're new.
So take the short drive to Bill Jackson Ford in Troy, where you too can experience the Jackson satisfaction.
Bill Jackson Ford, Troy, Alabama.
At cost plus 10%, we offer your favorite brands at the best price. At Piggly Wiggly, we keep it simple. We price our products at cost, then add 10% at checkout. We carry all your favorite name brand foods, and we accept manufacturer coupons. Find us on Facebook and see our weekly specials.
Wallace Sandals Truck Line been in business since 1959 and we'll still growing. We've been in business since 1959 and we'll still growing. Wallace Sandals Truck Line. From 1959 to 2022, we'll still growing. How many years is that, Mr. Glenn? 63. Ricky, why this T680?
Got a nice digital dashboard, easy to read.
Man, Wallace Sandals Truck Line. We got competitive pay. We got Blue Cross Blue Shield. We can get you home. Wallace Sandals. Come drive for the best today. Wallace Sandals Truck Line.
A personal touch, a high level of trust. Whether it's checking and savings accounts, personal or business loans, or our local friendly service. That's what Troy Bank and Trust customers expect. But now we offer more. Free identity theft protection for our new and existing customers, protecting your family's time, money, and good name from identity theft. Because protecting your identity is now a big part of our identity.
In the market for a new or pre-owned vehicle? We've got what you're looking for.
So come see us at Bill Jackson Chevrolet Buick GMC in Troy, and you too can experience the Jackson satisfaction.
Bill Jackson Chevrolet Buick GMC.
Welcome back to Today in LA. I'm Forrest Lee, and on the phone we have Michael Amos Jr. calling in, and the topic of conversation was AbbyLeePhotography.com. Abby is our daughter, Jody, and myself, and she's 23, and she's a professional photographer living in Birmingham, but she's coming home today. And
Coming home to visit?
yeah, we've got, I think she has some pictures to take, but the unique thing about that is my mother, back in the late 60s and early 70s, was a photographer and writer for the Troy Messenger. Hold on just a minute, Mike, we got a caller. Welcome to Today in LA.
Hey, Forrest, Will Matthew, what you up to?
Hey, Mr. Will, we're on the phone. Michael and I are just chatting a little bit, talking about Drew Brees.
Will, who you going to pick today? You going to take UAB in Troy, or you going to take UAB in Texas San Antonio?
I'm going UAB in Troy.
Yeah, the Troy game is actually moving. Troy went from 1.5 favorite to now a 1.5 point underdog.
Yeah, I had Frisco last night in the under, so I got both of those.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a
Mr. Irrelevant.
interesting game there. San Francisco lost one of their best players, Debo Samuels. And like Forrest and I mentioned, they're winning with a guy that was Mr. Irrelevant. Their third string quarterback, and they keep on winning.
Well, he started off 9 for 9, passing.
Wow.
Yeah. Seattle, Geno Smith's been a journeyman quarterback for years, and they actually had a winning record, which was surprising, but looks like they're kind of starting to show the normal Seattle of the last few years down the stretch.
Yeah. I think Frisco may be in the Super Bowl this year.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. They've got the defense. Their defense coordinator, D'Amico Ryans, we're talking about from Alabama. They say he's almost a can't miss next year as far as being an NFL head coach. Be interested to see where he lands.
You know what I tell you what I've heard, Michael. He's going to be the next coach at Alabama when Saban retires.
I have not heard that. That's an interesting.
Yeah.
I feel like you got to have a little head coaching experience before you go to Alabama.
Well, I'm sure he'll be an NFL head coach next year somewhere. Somebody's going to hire him.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. Saban doesn't seem to be slowing down.
No, he's not going to quit.
I think Saban's going to coach another 5 years.
Well, brother Bobby Petrino has landed at the University of Nevada, Las Vegas. Viva Las Vegas.
I tell you what, if I was going to land somewhere, I wouldn't mind living there.
Now, is he the head coach at Las Vegas?
Offensive coordinator.
He's offensive coordinator. They hired Barry Odom. They used to be the head coach at Arkansas.
So, all right,
No,
so
not Arkansas. Not Arkansas, but used to be the head coach of Missouri.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he did not go to A&M then.
No. No, he's going to the University of Nevada, Las Vegas. And he was previously trying to get that job at Texas A&M, they say. But and Drew Brees is going to Purdue for a little bit. And we talked about Chip Lindsey already going to North Carolina as their offensive coordinator. Chip Lindsey is going to North Carolina.
There'll be plenty of more moving around here in the next few weeks. Of course, Auburn is hitting the portal like crazy.
Yeah, I saw where Mississippi State hired. Yeah, I saw where Mississippi State hired the defensive coordinator permanently.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which is, I think, an emotional hire. I mean, I feel like he's a guy that right now can help keep the players and the recruits, coming in. But, it's kind of one of those things we'll have to wait for the future to see if it was something that was smart or not.
I think he's going to be another Moorhead. I think he'll be a Moorhead,
Well, I think sometimes those work out, sometimes they don't. So, be interesting. The guy played at New Mexico and coached in New Mexico, then coached at Washington State. He's been at Mississippi State for 3 years. But, I don't know if Mississippi State not having an athletic director, Cohen left and is at Auburn, and the president was involved. They might be regretting that in a few years. I think Notre Dame is regretting that already. What happened to them last year?
Mm-hmm. Well, Mississippi State plays Illinois January the 2nd at 11 o'clock, or might be 10 o'clock on ESPN2. So I'm hoping they can win that game.
I'd hate to be Illinois because those kids are going to be fired up for that.
Yeah, and Illinois lost their defensive coordinator. He's now the head coach at Purdue. So I don't know if he'll coach him or not. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Brett Bielema, won all those championships in Wisconsin, went to Arkansas, was awful. Now he's turned Illinois around. I mean, he's a guy that might get a bigger coaching job in the future as well. I don't think he wants to stay in Illinois.
Now, at one time, Illinois was a good job, and then it's kind of gone downhill.
Yeah, consistently, like Brom, everybody's saying, why would Brom leave Purdue to go to Louisville? I mean, it's his alma mater. He's got a lot better chance of winning the ACC than he does the Big Ten, especially when you're about to have UCLA and USC.
Yeah, Michael's picking Florida State to win the ACC next year.
Yeah, and Travis coming back to quarterback, which I read the other day. I don't know if y'all watched Florida State down the stretch, but they were pretty good.
And that guy's great.
Oh, yeah, he's phenomenal. I've got a bunch of Florida State fans that live around me down here at Great, and they, I think, are finally starting to believe in the program. I think they finally think they're back.
Mm-hmm. Well, they're number 13.
Well, that coach is a good coach, Michael.
Oh, yeah, Norville. Yeah, he was good. He was great when he was at Memphis.
They're going to play
Memphis has definitely gone downhill since he left.
Oh, yeah.
They're going to play in the Cheez-It Bowl against Oklahoma. Florida State versus Oklahoma.
Yeah, we need to mention also, Will, I know I'll be watching this weekend, the father-son PNC tournament's going on where you got Tiger and Charlie Woods playing. And everybody says Charlie Woods hitting the ball 300 yards off the tee. And then Justin
they've moved
his dad, and Beef will be playing with his dad. It'll be a lot of fun stuff to watch.
Well, last year Charlie played for the ladies' teams, and it was a joke. But they moved him back this year. He's going to be playing where the senior golfers hit from.
Is that going to be in Orlando? Yeah. Is that in Orlando?
I believe so. Yeah, it is. Yeah. And then you got, of course, John Daly and his son that plays at Arkansas. They'll be playing in. They won it last year. So that'll be fun to watch over the weekend.
Hey,
Alabama, Gonzaga, you got all kinds of sporting stuff. It's unbelievable.
That's tomorrow, isn't it? Alabama Gonzaga.
Yeah, it's at
Yeah,
noon.
they've sold out the BJCC, and 17,500 people will be there tomorrow.
Yeah, who's
Michael, what's the line on that game?
Let me check. I'll pull it up.
Gonzaga has lost to Purdue, Baylor, and Texas, and Alabama has lost to Connecticut. So Gonzaga's had, when they get beat by the best. I hope they get beat again.
Favored by 2 or 3 points, probably.
Yeah, I'm not seeing a line on it yet.
They'll
be on Scores and Odds tomorrow morning.
Well, Will, y'all got a good basketball team down there in Ozark. They're ranked like number 2 or 3 in 5A, and I'm looking forward.
Good, yes.
I'm looking forward to when they play Charles Henderson, because Charles Henderson had 17 3-pointers last night. One kid scored 38 points. He had 10 of them himself, a Spearman kid,
Wow.
Jaden Spearman. And Austin Cross.
What year is he, Forrest?
I'm not sure. I mean, he's he's a senior. I think he's a senior. But Austin Cross, the oldest son of Scott Cross, who's the head coach at Troy University, he scored 26 or 28. And he's a pure shooter, dribbler, smart. I mean, they're going to be fun to watch. I want to get a ticket to that Ozark Charles Henderson game whenever they play. I feel like they'll be playing because they should be in the same area. And,
yeah, Ozark's star player ended up going to UNA. I don't know how he's doing after last year.
He's actually he's doing real well. His daddy's a client of mine, and he's a freshman, and he's the sixth man. He comes off the bench, but he's had a couple of 20-point games.
Oh, wow.
So he plays a lot. Yeah, he plays a lot.
Yeah, North Alabama's pretty good. I think they're 6-4. They were playing somebody, big boys, maybe the other night. I'll have to look and see. Yeah, they're 1A. So, I mean, they play everybody all over the country.
They play a good schedule.
Well, I've been watching a lot of pro games lately. It looks like Tua is kind of taking a step backwards with the Dolphins. You think everybody's kind of figured the Dolphins out now?
Yeah, they keep Tua in the pocket. And when he's not, now when Tua's on the run, he can throw on the run,
Yeah, it's hard to believe
They're
right now.
kind of keeping him.
You got Mac Jones with the Patriots, Tua, of course, with the Dolphins. Jalen Hurts is pretty much going to be league MVP, which you would have told me when I used to go to all those Alabama games, watch him as starting quarterback. He could throw the ball, the deep ball, but other than that, that was about it. It was pretty much a deep ball or just a scrambler. Yeah. One of the best running quarterbacks you'll ever see. But, I mean, his game is unbelievable. I mean, that's the perfect offense Philadelphia runs with him at quarterback.
Hey, were y'all talking about Bryson Dawkins from Dothan that plays for UNA?
He's from Ozark, yeah.
Okay. Well, it says Bryson Dawkins from Dothan. He averages 12 points a game. Six.
Forrest, let me tell you the background of this.
Okay.
His mother lives in Dothan.
Okay.
His father lives in Ozark.
Gotcha.
Well, I represented his father, and his father got custody of him. And I represented him in the custody case. Well, so he moved to Ozark and played at Carroll High. Well, somebody from Dothan filed some kind of crap with the Alabama High School Association.
Yeah.
And Carroll High had to forfeit like 17 games or something. It was crazy. And the boy lived in Ozark,
Yeah.
But they didn't like the fact that he went from Dothan to Ozark.
Hey.
So he only played like just a few games last year because they had to forfeit all these games, and he couldn't play.
Right. Will, what about
if he's really good at UNA, transfer to a bigger school.
And he probably will.
What about the history of Artis Gilmore? He played in Dothan High, and he played in right across went to Jacksonville. But they say, I always heard he wanted to go to Troy, but at that time Troy was not integrated. But
That's right.
Artis Gilmore
Now, let me tell you about artists.
okay.
When I was a kid, I don't know, 12, 13 years old, Artis Gilmore played it.
We lost you, Will.
Yeah, we're losing you, Will. Are you on Bluetooth?
Hey, Will. Anyway, that was
Come off of that. Let me come off of that.
okay.
We'll see.
Yeah, the story of Artis
Is
Gilmore
that better?
played in the ABA and
Yeah,
NBA.
yeah.
Yes, sir.
Better.
All right.
Artis-
Artists played for Carver High School in Dothan. They came to Ozark and played at D.A. Smith High School,
Mm-hmm.
and this was before integration, the year before integration. My daddy and I and Cecil Skinner were the only three white people in the gym, and it was jam-packed for Artis Gilmore. And do you remember Wilbur Jackson? Wilbur played for D.A. Smith before they integrated. And D.A. Smith beat him. But
Now-
Artis played for the black high school in Dothan. Then he went to Jacksonville, and they got to the Final Four one year.
Yeah, Hugh Durham, the legendary Georgia coach, was coach of Jacksonville.
But didn't he play a year in Florida? He was from Florida, but was too old in Alabama or in Florida, one of the two. But he played. What's the town across the
Mariana?
I think he played at Mariana, and then transferred to Dothan his senior year or something. I can't remember. I remember reading it as a kid.
He was a legit 7-footer, wasn't
Oh, at least.
Mm-hmm.
Probably with his afro, he's probably 7'5".
He looked intimidating. But
he played for the Celtics, didn't he? Who all did he play for in the NBA? He played for a lot of teams.
I think he played for the Bulls.
Yeah,
He played in the ABA a long time. Michael, he played in the ABA a long time.
Yeah.
All right, here we go.
I've heard I was listening to the PGA Tour golf on the radio yesterday, and they said that the Masters will make a decision before the new year on the LIV golfers, if they'll be able to play in Augusta. Of course, there's a lot of controversy. You know, a lot of people think Cam Smith's the best golfer in the world right now. Plays on the LIV Tour. Dustin Johnson, of course, is still competitive. Brooks Koepka. Of course, Mickelson won it 3 times. Sergio won it. I mean, surely Augusta will not keep these guys from playing the Masters.
Mm-hmm.
How do you keep a man out of the tournament that's got the tournament record of 20 under?
Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, these guys won the tournament. I can understand if they have not won the tournament, keeping those guys out. But if you won the Masters, how in the world do you not have a chance to go play, considering they let people from all over the world, from all these other tours, come and play in it?
Well, the Masters is invitational. They can invite whoever they want to.
Well, that's what I heard. Like, they were making jokes. Like, literally, like, people are going to go to their mailbox and find out if they're in the Masters or not. And that's what they said. They send an invitation to the golfer's home, and that's how you find out if you're invited or invited. I mean, you've been how many times? 50?
53.
Wow.
I mean, I know there's a lot of politics involved, and there's a lot of powerful people involved. But I would be shocked if they didn't allow at least the former winners to play.
Yeah.
You know, if they ban all those people, Michael Tiger might win it again.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, as a golfer, I mean, you're a competitive person. Justin Thomas, Roy McIlroy, Jordan Spieth, some of the top players out there today. If you won the Masters and you knew that they wouldn't let Koepka play, Cam Smith play, Dustin Johnson play, some of these other great golfers on the LIV Tour, I mean, I feel like you would almost have to put an asterisk by it because you're not playing against the best.
That's true.
I wanted to jump back to Artis Gilmore real quick. He went to high school at T.J. Ruhawk in Chipley, Florida, then transferred to Carver of Dothan. He played at Gardner-Webb, and then he transferred to Jacksonville. He was picked in the 7th round in the NBA draft, but he played for the Kentucky Colonels, Chicago Bulls, San Antonio Spurs, Chicago Bulls again, the Boston Celtics. Then he played overseas for Aramo Bologna. but he,
Yeah, that's funny. He played at Gardner Webb initially, and then to Jacksonville. That's amazing. A talent like that would have gone to Gardner Webb. I bet he did want to go to Troy.
it says he, in 2007, he took a position as special assistant to the president of Jacksonville University. Whether or not he still has that, I'm not sure. But he and his wife, Enola Gay's college sweetheart, they have 5 kids. Artis Gilmore, one of my favorite.
How old is he, Forrest?
73.
72?
73. He had a birthday.
You know,
73, September the 21st, 1949. Chipley, Florida,
You know,
where he was born.
it's crazy. In Troy's basketball history, which has been pretty good from NIA to Division II to Division I, Troy has still never had a guy play in the NBA. Never, not one player. It's like you would have one guy make it, but they never have.
Well, you're gonna be glued to a TV this weekend watching football. What you gonna be doing, Mr. Will?
I'll be watching football, and I've taped Tiger and them. I'm gonna watch that too.
Well, just as a side note, the volleyball championships, Texas will be playing the Louisville Cardinals for the NCAA volleyball championships, and there's a report of oysters being contaminated that come out of Texas, but they've been sold to. They've been sold to stores in Alabama, Florida, Georgia, Louisiana, Mississippi, and North Carolina. Dozens of people.
Yeah, you're only supposed to eat oysters when the month ends in R.
Right.
Well,
And
this is prime oyster time right now.
that's right.
I'll tell you what, I don't touch them if they don't. You still get the real good ones around Apalachicola. They don't really advertise it, but you can get them down here at some of the higher end restaurants. And I don't care what anybody says. Those Louisiana and Texas oysters, they're way too big. I don't like a big raw oyster. I like the little tiny ones.
Right.
But I know that people still eat them like crazy. But if they're big, I got to have them either fried or grilled.
Well, another health issue, Scott Harris is talking about. There's an outbreak of the Legionella disease in Baldwin County, but it's not. They say it's not.
What in the world is that?
It's you can't spread it person to person. It's people are infected by breathing a mist or vapor containing bacteria called the Legionella disease in Baldwin County. So,
well, if anybody wants to watch football today, all you got to do is leave it on ESPN. You'll have UAB at 10:30, Troy at 2. Of course, UAB is going to be coached by Brian Benson, a dear friend of ours who coached Charles Henderson for 5 years. And last time I saw him, he was walking around with Dad, telling him Dad to come to UAB games, and he put him on the sideline. But hopefully Bryant will win today and get to 7-6. I don't know what is going to happen with all this staff. Trent Dilfer's kind of bringing in all his own guys, and all these Bill Clark guys are going to have to be looking for jobs.
yeah, they'll land some.
Michael, what's Bill Clark doing?
He's recovering from his back surgery. I mean, from what I hear, he's wanting to get back into coaching now. What job will come open will be interesting. I can't believe he didn't go back to UAB and just say, hey, I want the job back. I mean, they would have hired him back.
Maybe he's got.
I tell you, landing a spot where Bill Clark will wind up. I'll just go ahead and tell this. Andy Womack, the coach of South Alabama, is a hot commodity in coaching. 10-2 will be 11-2 if he wins the bowl. He's only 36 years old. So you know good and well that he'll end up getting a bigger job one of these days. Mobile is where Clark got his start in college under Joey Jones. He was a defense coordinator. If that South job ever comes open, I guarantee you Bill Clark will take that. Because I mean, look at the recruits in that area. I mean, you got all of Mobile. You got Pensacola. You got Panhandle. You got the Mississippi Junior Colleges. I mean, there's just so much talent down there.
Bill Clark would be good at Troy, too.
Yeah, I mean, that's a possibility, too. I hope we keep Coach Summerall as long as we possibly can. So I imagine he's going to have a Brinks truck come to his house on Christmas.
Summerall will be gone. I give him maybe one more year. He will.
he will be the top choice at Kentucky if Stoops ever leaves.
Oh,
sure.
yeah. And I told your daddy this, Michael. If Louisville had not gotten Brum to come back, Troy was going to lose their coach.
Yeah,
He was
that's what. Yeah, he had all the connections up there. That's right.
You don't think he'd take $5 million to go to Louisville? My God.
Well, you can't pass it up. Just like Neil, you know, when Neil left Troy, I think he was probably making $800,000, and he's making 3.5.
Now he makes, what, $4 million?
Yeah, Yeah, I think it did get bumped up before.
Will, I was going to throw this back up. You've eaten at the Country Kitchen in Troy years ago, hadn't you?
Oh, yeah.
Miss Mary passed away, Miss Mary Finley.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, she was 91. Her funeral will be this Sunday at Green Hills Chapel. Visitation from 2 to 3 with the service starting at 3 o'clock. But her and Mr. Tom, you know, had a wonderful restaurant and several other business ventures, and I wanted to pass that along. She was a sweet lady.
They had some amazing cooks, because that fried chicken out there was hard to beat.
That fried chicken, you could just,
You know who used to stop there a lot is Coach Bowden. When he would travel back and forth to Birmingham to see old friends, several times he would go to the Country Kitchen, and you know, different people from Troy would go there and sit with him. He would end up talking to everybody for a couple hours. And Bobby Bowden was one of the most friendliest guys you'll ever meet in your life. There was no ego whatsoever.
I need to call Mickey. I hadn't talked to him in a long time.
Oh yeah, where is Mickey living now?
Tallahassee. Same place.
He stayed in Tallahassee.
Well,
yeah, Diane died in 2012, and you talking about a who's who of coaches were at that funeral. It was amazing.
Yeah, when Mickey played at Alabama, what years was he at Alabama under Brian?
I would say 50, 60, 61, 62.
And he was Bowden's defense coordinator for what, 25 years?
Oh, at least. Probably more, maybe 30.
Well, is Terry the only son that's still coaching?
Probably.
Terry has Jeff on his staff. Yeah, Tommy's out of it.
Well, the governor of Massachusetts, Charlie Baker, has been announced as the NCAA president of the NCAA.
Yeah, how's that going to work? You're going to be a governor of Massachusetts and run the NCAA? You're going to do both?
I don't know.
Said he's nearing the end of his second term as governor, Charlie Baker. And
he may resign as governor.
He's in a state where I guess you got Boston College that plays Division I and UMass, which is considered probably the worst 1A program in the country. So interesting. I don't know what I think of that. I mean, I guess they got to have somebody that runs it, but with name, image, and likeness, there's really not much NCAA control anymore.
No, there's a.
What are y'all hearing about Coach Prime's players he's bringing in?
Well, I mean, I heard he got the top running back commit from Notre Dame the other day to switch. I read about that. So
Texas got the stud linebacker that flipped from Texas A&M. Texas picked him up, 5-star linebacker. Read that as well. So
I mean, Dion. I mean, I can't wait to see it. I mean, it'll be must-see TV next year. I guarantee you they'll have pretty much every Colorado game on they can put on. So,
yeah.
I still can't believe we're going to live in a world where you got UCLA and USC in the Big Ten. When's the Big Ten finally going to change their name? They've been way over 10 teams for a long time.
I know it.
Will they have 16? How many will they have?
18, maybe.
18?
16 or 18? I'm not sure. Yeah. I think 16 or 18.
Well, Michael, tell it.
We'll wrap it up.
Well, let us
go Trojans.
Yeah, let us know where let us know where your dad and sister are sitting, and text me so I'll look for them on TV. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us today on Today in LA. I want to thank Will Matthews calling in from the Ozark area, and Michael calling in from Grayton Beach. You can watch us again today at 1:30, and you can follow us on Facebook and YouTube. Type in TC2 TV. Have a wonderful weekend. Go Trojans, and we'll see you bright and early Monday morning. Good day.
This award is for the team, for the employees who keep us going, employees who keep this community in rhythm and the ones who keep us comfortable. For those who go that extra step to do more, give more, care more. It's because of